rebuild yourself, or stay buried alive. There comes a moment in every life, quite uncomfortable, impossible to ignore, when you realize something inside you is dying. Not your body, your spirit. It's the moment you wake up and feel heavy before the day has even touched you. The moment success feels distant, not because it's impossible, but because you have drifted too far from the person you were meant to become. You're still breathing, still moving, still functioning. But deep down, you know the truth. You're buried alive. Not by enemies, not by circumstances, but by habits, compromises, excuses, and the slow erosion of belief. And here's the brutal reality most people never face: no one is coming to dig you out. History doesn't remember potential, life does not reward intention, and time does not wait for clarity. You either rebuild yourself consciously, deliberately, relentlessly, or you stay buried where comfort slowly turns into regret. This is not about motivation, this is about survival of the self. Every great transformation begins with a fracture, a breaking point, a moment when the old identity can no longer carry the weight of the future. Lincoln was buried under failure before he rebuilt himself into resolve. Edison was buried under ridicule before he rebuilt failure into feedback. Carnegie was buried in poverty before he rebuilt his mindset around value and leverage. They didn't escape pressure, they used it. Because pressure reveals truth. Right now, pressure is revealing yours. You don't lack intelligence, you don't lack opportunity, you don't lack time, you lack alignment. Your days are scattered, your focus is fractured, your standards have quietly lowered while your dreams stayed high. And that gap, that space between who you are and who you know you should be, is where suffering lives. But that gap is also where rebuilding begins. Rebuilding starts with ownership. No blame, no excuses, no stories about how it should have been. Just this simple, terrifying declaration: this is my life, and I take responsibility for where it stands. The moment you do that, something shifts. Because responsibility is power in disguise. When you stop blaming the world, you reclaim control from it. When you stop waiting for permission, you step into authority. When you stop lying to yourself, you wake yourself up. Most people never rebuild because rebuilding requires demolition, and demolition hurts. You have to tear down beliefs that once protected you but now imprison you. You have to confront patterns that feel familiar but keep you small. You have to let go of the identity that says, "This is just who I am." No, that is who you have been. Identity is not fixed, it is reinforced, repeated, conditioned. Change the standards you live by, and identity follows. This is where mindset stops being philosophy and becomes architecture. You don't think your way into a new life, you act your way into a new way of thinking. Discipline is not punishment, it is self respect in motion. When you wake up early, when you train your body, when you guard your focus, when you choose the hard, right over the easy wrong, you're sending a message to your nervous system. I'm someone who keeps promises to myself, and confidence is nothing more than stacked evidence. Vision comes next, not vague hope, but sharp direction. A man without vision becomes a servant to urgency. A woman without vision becomes a prisoner of other people's priorities. Vision is not fantasy, vision is a decision about what you will no longer tolerate. It is the line in the sand that says, "This ends here." This version of you, the tired one, the distracted one, the self betraying one, does not get to lead anymore. Rebuilding demands standards, not goals, standards. Goals are achievements, standards are identities. Ford didn't aim to build one car, he rebuilt an industry. Disney didn't aim to make one film, he rebuilt imagination itself. They built standards so high that mediocrity couldn't breathe in their presence. And now the question turns toward you. Will you continue negotiating with the part of you that wants comfort, or will you rebuild the part of you that demands growth? Because staying buried is easy, rebuilding is violent, it will strip illusions, it will expose weakness, it will demand consistency when motivation disappears. But on the other side of rebuilding is something most people never experience: freedom earned. Not the fake freedom of doing whatever you want, the real freedom of becoming someone you respect. Stay here. Let this burn a little, because what comes next is not escape, it is construction. Construction begins in the dark, not on stages, not in applause, but in the quiet hours where excuses come to negotiate and discipline stands alone. This is where most people turn back, because rebuilding yourself requires you to sit with discomfort long enough to learn from it, to stop numbing, stop scrolling, stop distracting, and listen. Listen to what your life has been trying to tell you. You don't feel lost because you lack direction. You feel lost because you have been ignoring it. The body knows, the mind knows, the soul knows. Every time you procrastinate, that's information. Every time you overreact, that's feedback. Every time you quit early, that's a mirror. Rebuilders study their own patterns like scientists. They don't judge, they analyze. Why do I break promises to myself? Why do I avoid the work that matters most? Why do I crave approval more than progress? These are not questions of weakness, they are questions of mastery. Clarity is born from honest interrogation. Carnegie didn't just build steel, he built systems. Edison didn't just invent, he iterated. Lincoln didn't just lead, he reflected. They observed themselves under pressure and adjusted accordingly. This is adaptability. Rigid people break, adaptive people evolve. And evolution requires humility, the willingness to admit, what got me here will not get me there. That sentence alone can save years of suffering. Rebuilding also means redefining pain. Most people run from pain, not realizing it's the raw material of strength. Pain is not the enemy, avoidance is. Pain signals growth trying to happen. When muscles tear, they rebuild stronger. When systems collapse, they reveal flaws that must be corrected. When old identities crack, new ones emerge. The question is not whether you will feel pain, the question is whether you will waste it. Resilient people metabolize pain into wisdom. They don't glamorize it, they don't dramatize it, they extract lessons and move forward heavier with insight, not bitterness. This is where belief is forged. Not belief as optimism, but belief as decision. Belief says, I don't need proof to proceed. Belief says, I will act in alignment before results arrive. Belief says, I am becoming, even when evidence is incomplete. This is the same belief that carried pioneers across oceans, inventors through ridicule, leaders through exile. Belief is not loud, it is steady, it shows up when no one is watching. Rebuilding also demands focus because scattered energy builds nothing. The world is designed to fragment your attention, notifications, opinions, comparisons, noise, but focus is a weapon. When you choose one priority and execute it relentlessly, time bends in your favor. Average people are busy, exceptional people are precise. They protect mornings, they schedule thinking, they create before they consume. They understand that attention is the new currency and they spend it intentionally. This is where gratitude enters, not as sentiment but as strategy. Gratitude grounds you in what is working, which stabilizes your psychology. It prevents entitlement. It sharpens perspective. A grateful mind sees resources instead of obstacles. A grateful heart stays resilient under pressure. Even in rebuilding, gratitude matters. Grateful for the wake up call. Grateful for the discomfort that forced change. Grateful for the chance to rebuild while there is still time. Because time is the only resource you cannot replace. And yet, every day, you're given another deposit. The question is not how much time you have, it's how you use the next hour. Action is where rebuilding becomes real, not dramatic action, consistent action. Small, disciplined actions done daily become identity. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. So build systems that make the right choice the easy choice, systems that reward effort, systems that reduce friction between intention and execution, remove temptation, simplify decisions, automate discipline. Rebuilding is not about willpower, it's about design. Design your environment and behavior follows. This is how buried lives get rebuilt, not through motivation, through architecture. And once the foundation is set, once belief, focus, discipline, and action align, something remarkable begins to happen. Momentum. Momentum is quiet at first, but it is unstoppable. And when it starts, you will feel something you haven't felt in a long time, respect for yourself returning. And that, more than applause, more than money, more than recognition, is the signal that you are no longer buried. You are rising.